Okay, I'm recording this. Andreen just reminded me. Thank you very much, Andreen. So Andreen is here as well as Kimberly assisting me today. So right now, we still only have 14 out of 28 people responding. Please, folks, just quickly, I'm about to close the poll. It's on your screen. How many have written down your core values? I'm gonna close in exactly 30 seconds. Really trying to get an idea of how much have we even thought about this. Defined and written down. All right, so I'm ending the poll now. And so the results that I've seen so far is basically that we have 41% who have said that they have written down, defined and written down, and 59% who have not. All right, so today we want to share, we want to, decide today that we're going to be moving and looking at how we can actually start to do more of that. Okay, I see more people coming in. All right, so the first thing we want to look at is, when you hear core values, what are your values? So before we can answer the question, what are your values? We first of all need to understand what is meant by values. What are actual values? So let's take a look at that. So when we define values, it can be as basic and your fundamental beliefs. And you notice the word, I said beliefs, and beliefs means it has to be your beliefs. So it's your basic and fundamental beliefs that guide or motivate your attitudes or actions. And as we look at the world today and you see, we don't know what is truth or what is lie. People just making decisions, and you always hear people say, it's values, they don't value this, they don't value that. Because I'm going to, when we talk about the concept of an identity iceberg, and many of you may know about the iceberg, is that, everybody knows the Titanic, and everybody remembers that the Titanic was sunk by an iceberg, but all they saw was the tip. And the tip of the iceberg, in terms of us as human beings, all that people can see is the tip of the iceberg, your actions, your behaviors, your decisions, what you say, what you do. But what informs those things is what's below the waterline. And that is the biggest part of the iceberg. And that is what really sank the Titanic. And under that iceberg are things like your skills, your values, your identity, the environment from which you come. And so really those values are fundamental beliefs. And what they do is guide or motivate your attitude or actions. Now, we're a business coaching firm and we deal with leadership, but coaching, let me tell you, coaching is only 20% business and 80% behavior. And so that behavior is going to come from your attitude, what motivates your attitudes or actions, what is going to make you take those actions and decisions. So it says that values describe the personal qualities that we choose to embody. Can we please let in folks, Kimberly? So values describe the personal qualities that we choose to embody to guide our actions. And I want to use the word that we choose. It's a choice. And to guide our actions that we choose to embody because of the sort of person we want to be. And so you think of, who do I want to be? And then what are the personal qualities that I choose to embody to become that kind of person? It also guides the manner in which we treat ourselves. You always hear people say, just based on what you do to yourself, where you go, do you value yourself as a person? The way you allow people to treat you, always hear those common words. So it also guides our interaction with the world around us. So in short, folks, your values help us to determine what's important to you and to provide general guidelines for your conduct. And the word I want to outline there is guidelines. So when you define your core values, they act as general guidelines for your conduct. And so, I want to also look at the difference between morals and values. So when you're thinking about values, a lot of time morals will come to mind. And while they're related, I want to say they're not the same, because a moral is a system of beliefs that, from when you were a child, you were taught certain things. Remember I said that environment. So based on the environment you grew up in, what people said to you, what the community said, what your church said, what your teachers said. So there are certain morals, which is a system of beliefs that is taught to us for deciding good or bad. So those things are there, it's like guides. Whereas your values, no, those are out there, are your personal beliefs, is what you then choose from all of those things that are out there. Those are your personal beliefs or something that comes from within. So it has to be yours. You have to choose them, which is why I asked you first, have we defined them? Have you sat down and looked at what are those things? So what is distinctive about moral claims is that they talk about what is right or wrong and what should or should not happen. Whereas on the other hand, and I want you to note this, is that your values are the standards. That is why, for those of you who are in coaching, you always hear us say the 6 keys to a winning team starts with strong leadership, common goals, and rules of the game, the values. What are the standards? So your values are the standards to judge right or wrong, good or bad, just or unjust. And so whereas morals have some social value and acceptance, or have more social value and acceptance than your values, a person is judged more for their moral character than their actual values, because that's the norms that's out there. So then think of your values as the magnets in your moral compass. It's something that you always come back to before you make a decision. You're going to make a decision, you're going to do it based on my personal beliefs, not what your mother said, not what everybody else says, but it's you, because your actions. And that's one of the things that helps you to form that thing called integrity as a leader. Because one of the things with integrity that leads to integrity is consistency. And that consistency is going to be based on some standards that you will always come back to as a guidelines for making decisions, so that people know that, listen, this is what you stand for. And so with that consistency, you're not wishy-washy, you're not all over the place. With that consistency comes that integrity. So it is your moral compass. It is that magnet in your moral compass. And so let's look at how then these values help you. And while many of you are leaders, I want to say something. John Maxwell once said it, and I loved it when he said it. He said somebody wanted him to do a lesson on business ethics and values. And he said, no, I can't do that. And they asked him why. Because he said, there's no such thing as business ethics and values. He says, there's just ethics. They're just values. because you can't separate personal from business. It's who you are. So how do these values help us? Because in this world today, we don't lack opportunities around us, both in business and life, to succeed, which is what everybody wants to be able to do, and is looking at, okay, how is this going to help me? Core values act as a filter to prioritize our choices when faced with opportunities around us, or even when faced with challenges around us. So one of the most important keys to self-motivation, and you notice a word I said is self-motivation. One of the most important keys to motivate yourself is to clearly identify your core values in life. Nobody else can do that for you, you know. And as leaders, that's why for those of us who, again, who have done coaching, one of the things you always see us when we're coming together with the core values for the company, we always ask for you as the leader to determine what values are important for you personally. You must decide what matters most. And then, why is the need to identify your values so important? Many people think, well, I know that's important and I don't need a list to remind me. But what they don't fully understand is that core values serve as critical guides for making important decisions. So if you just have them floating in your head and, well, I think I know what they are, but you don't actually have them up, that becomes a guide for making decisions, then you really don't have a guide. I want to give you an example of my mentor, Darren Hardy, and something he said. And I'm telling you this story because it was so profound. Early in Darren Hardy's life, he's Darren Hardy of Success Magazine, you know, he's a big motivational and product, he's not motivational, he'll kill me if he ever heard me say that. What he is a productivity guru, and he's excellent. He wrote the book Compound Effect. And one thing he said was, early on in his 20s, he's already a millionaire. And he had one of his companies where he was doing really great. It was making millions of dollars. And he was he said, okay, every month we have to make our quotas, we have to make our numbers. And he said he was just $5,000 away from that number. And one of the things that he had done was build a team where he brought on people who would, it's like franchising if you want. So they would now get a license from him to be able to go out and sell. And then based on that license fee is what would say $5,000 is what would help him now to grow to the size that he wanted. So that was one way. So he would normally do seminars, bring them into the room. They're all excited. Yes, I want to be a part of this opportunity. Then at the end of he does the sell, and then they sit down and they sign up, and then he gets the money. And that's how he would grow the numbers. And he said one day, he just was away from that 5,000, just one more. And at the end of the seminar, everybody had left, everybody was signing when he knew what he had left to get. And this young lady, she sat in front of him and she said to him, you know, I've really had a difficult time. This really is the last amount of money that I have in my bank account. Do you believe that this opportunity is the right choice for me? And Darren looked at her because he recognized that her whole life hinged on his answer to that question. He looked at her, he looked in her eyes and in her face. He was only $5,000 away from that target, you know, and hers would have made it. And he looked at her and he said, no, this is not the right career for you. And he said, no, leave, this is not for you, go and do something else. He packed up his bags, He walked out of the room. He said he jumped in his car and he drove for miles. And at the end of it, he picked up the phone and he called his assistant and he said, listen, I'm done with this business. I'm handing it over to you. He never returned to it and he just left. Sold the business. That was it. What guided him? It was so profound. He had lots of money, but he looked into her eyes and he knew she did not have what it took to be that kind of salesperson that would go out there and knock on the doors and drive, and she would have given him that money. And yes, he would have met his quota, but he could not live with knowing that she was looking at him and saying, is this the right thing for me? Faced with all of this, that is the perfect story of when I say your values are your critical guides for making important decisions. So when you're in doubt about anything, and I have had stories of that as well, where I've had to make decisions, and it is just based on my beliefs. Key things are critical to me: professionalism, integrity. When you're in doubt, your core values will cut through that fog. That is what happened. And you want to be known for that. It cuts through the fog like a beacon. And you know, this is what this world is lacking. Leaders, and leaders with integrity. Leadership with integrity. And integrity comes from consistency. And consistency comes from having a set of guidelines that allows you to be able to make those decisions. Even in a world where people are starting to say there is now a blurring of what is truth from reality. More than ever, we need these. So when defining your values, because you have to define them, and I'm going to give you some tools today. So at the end of this, I'm going to show you some things on the screen. And then I promise you, at the end of the webinar, all of those who attended today will get via email the documents I'm going to share with you to help you in this process. So one thing to keep in mind when you're defining your core values is that we are all different. You can't just go and say, boy, your list of values look really nice and I think I'm going to take them. No. We're all different. And what makes one person happy may leave another person feeling anxious or disengaged. So it's about defining your personal values is a first step to living by them. You have to say what they are. And it will leave you feeling more fulfilled and available to make choices that make you happy. Because you know, when you make choices, you must be happy with what you have made because you know that, listen, this aligned with who I am. Not that you make a choice and then after that you're unhappy because it isn't who you are. It doesn't align with what you believe. And this is how we live a happier life. So by defining your personal values, you will then discover what's truly important to you. And we need that beacon in this world now to cut through the fog that is around us. So how do we define them? So we're going to go step by step to identify and define your personal values. So I'm just going to share, first of all, the documents. I just want you to see, we're going to have two sets of documents here. And so it's a PDF. Oh, I'm going to move this thing over here. One, this document here is a Word. I'm going to send it to you in Word so that you can work through it. So I'm going to be going through it in the presentation, but you're going to work through these. So it is to set up your values and your rules, okay? And then the other one is a listing of values to choose from, all right? So they're showing you the documents. So the first thing that we're going to be doing is, when you're going through this document, and actually do this exercise with me right now, think back to the times that you remember feeling your happiest. And then answer the following questions. When you were at your happiest, what were you doing? Who were you with? And what factors contributed to your happiness? When were you? You know, and think about both your career and your personal life. When were you at your happiest in each of those situations? What were you doing and who were you with? Think about the people you were with. What is the actual thing that you were doing and what caused you to be happy? What are the factors that made you happy? So I want you to think about that. You know, I remember my father died when I was 7. He had a heart attack and, you know, he just got up and he died. Went to the bathroom and he collapsed. And my fondest memories of my father was lying on my bed. And I had my feet up against the wall. You know how kids are. So you're lying back on the bed and your foot up against the wall and you're lying down and you're listening to your daddy. And he's teaching me to speak in Chinese because his father came from China. And so did my mother's father as well. So both my grandfathers were directly from China. And he was trying to teach me to speak in Chinese. And it was a happy moment for me because it was time spent. Who was I with? My dad. What was he doing? He was teaching me. And it was just time spent. And I remember that. And what made me so happy is just the joy on his face of transferring that information to me. Maybe that's why I love teaching too. You know, I look back at that. So what were you doing when you're at your happiest? Just think through your life, just one story that I gave you. And who were you with? And then in terms of my career, I remember when I was making this choice to bring Action Coach Jamaica, I hadn't yet signed the agreement. And I went up to a growth club planning workshop in Miami. And at the end of the workshop, I remember we were all in what we call a circle, and everybody was doing what we call a whiffle, where we share what you feel like expressing. So I was with other business owners who wanted to grow their business. That's who I was with. What were we doing? We were sharing. We were sharing our experiences, and what they were doing was talking about just how coaching had helped them. And what they were saying, and I'll never forget it, is when all of them looked at me and said, "This has transformed my life. Go back to your country, take this with you and make a difference." And based on that, I went back to Jamaica. I just signed the contract and I sent it. And this was in the 2008, 2009 major financial housing crisis. It was a major disaster across the world. And I made that decision. What factors contributed to that? It was that I wanted to make an impact with my life, and I wanted to do something of significance. That's what guided me. So again, some key things. So I gave you an example of my career and my personal life, and I want you to do the same thing. What were you doing? Think about a time when you're at your happiest. Because during that time, I was just absolutely just blown away. It felt so good just being in that group and just seeing the faces, the transformations, the impact on their life. And I was just so happy because I said, this is something I want to see happen here in my nation, because I was on a path guided by my values for impact and significance. And I came back. That's one. That's step one. Step two, think of times throughout your career and personal life when you felt most proud. Don't worry, the document is going to guide you through that, but you can still be doing that exercise with me now. Think of a time in your career and personal life when you felt most proud. And then answer the following. Why were you so proud? Did other people share your pride? And who? And what other factors contributed to your feelings? I want you to think about those. And, you know, I'm going to give one example from the career, and Rita is here, and I know Charmaine is here too. Why was I so proud? The example is when I went to our Business Excellence Forum, and Rita was there. And we sat at that table and they're doing awards, and she was a nominee. So Rita, you're here. I'm telling the story. And it was for Best Import-Export Company. We had everybody there. Andrina was there. We all were there at different tables. Where were we again? I think it was in California. It was in California, right? Yes. And I remember feeling so absolutely proud when they called Rita's name and her company. And I walked up with her. Did other people share your pride? Yes, every single Jamaican in that room. I think there were 28 of us between all the tables, and we were flying our Jamaica flags. What other factors contributed to your feelings? Also, what contributed to this? It's just that I saw within this woman, a woman who loved her nation, determination, her belief in that one could make a difference. She's not even from Jamaica, she's from Kenya. The story, those are the things that's for me. Those are my values, where there is pride, there is community, there is that feeling of contribution, of, here it is now, reward, success, and just seeing this woman receiving this award, an acknowledgement of her contribution. You hear all the words that I'm using, because those are important to me. And I want you to think about your personal life. Again, why were you so proud? Did other people share your pride? Write down all the things, and start to look at the words, the thoughts, the feelings. What other factors contributed to your feelings during that situation? Because when you think about what made you so proud, those are the things that are important to you. And then the third exercise is, think of a time when you felt fulfilled. Again, work and personal. Think about a personal time and work time. Work and career and personal examples. Think of a time in your life when you felt most fulfilled and successful. What need or desire was fulfilled? How and why? Write this down. What need or desire was fulfilled? How and why did the experience give your life meaning? And then what other factors contributed to your feelings of fulfillment? And I'm going to give you one career example again here. Because remember, you don't separate your life, it's you. And I remembered when I became a coach in 2010, and I sat in that room with 11 other persons, and I was the only woman. And I remember listening to that instructor who was giving the course and certifying us. And I remember saying, one day, because I loved teaching, it was something that was innate in me, people saw it. And that is why, even from maybe when my father was teaching me, and just me throughout my life doing that. And I remembered saying that, something, I'm going to come back here one day and I am going to sit in that chair and I'm going to be the instructor. And I'll never forget the very day that Trump won the election, my plane touched down in Las Vegas that night. The next morning, I walked into the same hotel, into the same room that I had been certified in 6 years ago. Sat in this, it's the same carpet, you know, when I say same room, same carpet. And I was now sitting in the instructor's chair. And in front of me were 11 people from the UK, from South Africa, from the USA. And there I was, little Jamaica, this little 4'11.5" woman. And I felt so fulfilled that here I was. This was me committing to a dream, working hard and fulfilling that. And being able to stand, and again, I've done other certified other coaches, but just to be there sitting in that room, because the road it takes you to even get to that point. What factors contributed to my feeling of fulfillment? Tenacity, determination, the belief that I could, success, impact. So why? So remember, think of 3 things when you give that you think of that experience in your life. What need or desire was fulfilled? I wanted, what was important for me was the determination to be able to succeed, to be able to come back here. That was a fulfillment of a goal. That's important for me. Succeeding in something, in a goal that I've set. How and why did the experience give your life meaning? I was the first one outside of North America in the Caribbean to do so. And what other factors contributed to your feelings of fulfillment? So it's again, when you think about your feelings, what's guiding those feelings are things that you value. Personal beliefs and values, what are they? So you're going to get that document to go through. And then when you've done all of that, you put all of your answers together to step 1, 2, and 3. And then based on your experiences of what made me happy, pride, and fulfillment, then you are now ready to determine your core values. So remember, I shared the list. So you would have already heard me saying some, but sometimes we need a little more help. So we'll use this values list. And so you're going to get this PDF, and I want you to look at this list here. Now there are tons of values. So you heard me saying some, so you're going to things like accuracy, ambition, assertiveness, balance, honesty. I'm just giving you some: innovation, self-actualization, resourcefulness, respect, punctuality, strength. You heard me talk about success. You heard me talking about joy, happiness. So I want you to go through this list. And what you're going to be doing is, as you look through this list and you go back through all of your experiences, then you're going to choose what are your top 10 values. So just go through this list. What you may want to do is maybe circle some that really resonate with you, that related to those experiences of what created happiness, pride, and fulfillment for me. Highlight those, and then again, narrow it down to your top 10 values. All right, so that's the first thing. And then many people find going through this process, and I want to say this, a lot of people don't do it because I've got to sit down there and do this, have to write out all of this, go fill out some more documents. But folks, if more people did that, we probably would have a better world. Problem is, no, nobody have any guidelines. Nobody have anything that determines or guides their choices. So while it may be challenging, and yes, it requires you to sit down with pen and paper and to sit down with your thoughts, to sit down and go through your experiences, to look at them, to think about where you were, how you felt, who you were with. It's actually a time for you to do what many people don't do, which is to just stop and connect with yourself. Who are you? And who am I becoming? Who am I and who do I want to become? Because we're all becoming, I love that book by Michelle Obama. We're all on a road. We must be thinking about who we want to be and who we're growing into be. And what are the values and things that we're going to bring? So it's a crucial step to determine what's important to you. So once you have identified those core 10 that resonate with you, then what you're going to do is compare each value, look at them, and then place them in order of importance. In order of importance. So your top 10, and then place them in order of importance. And then once you have prioritized it, it's time to reaffirm that they fit with your life and your vision for yourself. You hear what I just said a while ago? That they fit with your life and your vision for yourself. Many times when we start off the coaching intervention with clients, we start off with an alignment. So the first role of the coach, there are 4 roles of a coach. It's to help to get clarity. Clarity about where you want to go personally with your life. What is your vision for your life? And then your vision for your business, because your business is not your life. Your business gives you and affords you and allows you to have the life that you want, but you have to choose first. What is the vision for yourself? So to reaffirm that they fit, so reaffirm your values and reaffirm that they fit with your life and your vision for yourself by answering the following questions. Do the 10 values that I have chosen make me feel good about myself? Would you be proud, and are you proud of the top 3 values that you chose? Before I go on to the other questions, Oprah said we must always have 6 words. And my 6 words were fulfilling my purpose, creating my legacy. So you noticed a lot of the words there, fulfillment. It is something that I have where I believe that for each of us, we have a purpose to fulfill. I was a banker before I decided to leave my nice cushy job and go down this road. But it's a road that I'm growing into more and more. Because I believe that each of us has a purpose. This is my purpose. Fulfilling your purpose, creating your legacy. Just said creating your legacy. I'm on a path. I'm on a path, and with each year doing more things, doing additional things. What will your life be about? I always talk about the dash between when you are born and when you die. There's a simpler dash on your tombstone. And what would that be? What is in that dash? What guides you are your values. So are you proud of those values? And some of my top 3 are impact, significance, and legacy. Very important. In there, would you be comfortable and proud to tell your values to people that you respect and admire? Because if you can't share them with people that you respect and admire, then you aren't proud of them. Would you be comfortable and proud to tell people what your values are? And do these values represent things that you would support, even if your choice isn't popular and it puts you in the minority? You know what this means? And even when everybody may be saying that no, they don't believe in this, that you're going to stand firm to that belief because it is your value. Remember I said, what are those? Your personal beliefs. So even if, and I'm saying this again, guys, because you're all leaders. And as leaders, you're going to have to make some unpopular decisions. And a lot of times, those decisions are going to boil down to your values. So it has to be something that you truly believe in and would support, even if it puts you in the minority for doing so. You know, when I was bringing, again, Action Coach to Jamaica, everybody said to me, what is business coaching? You left your good job, you have your company doing consulting now and you're training and all of this. Why would you do this? But remember I said, when I sat with those business owners in Florida, and they all looked at me with tears in their eyes. I've never seen people do those things before. And they're talking about transformation and how it has impacted their lives. And I must go back and change my nation. I still get goosebumps over it. I stood there and I said, I feel like I'm in church. What are these people about? I saw transformation. And that resonates with me. And so despite what everybody else was saying, I made the investment and I brought it and I've not looked back. So do the values represent things that you would support, even if your choice isn't popular and it puts you in the minority? And I'm going to tell you, as a leader, you're going to have to do that, especially in a world where the world is going according to what everybody else thinks, and it doesn't seem to align with any values or morals. You have to have your personal compass, your values. So additional questions that you may want to ask are, if you're struggling with identifying your personal values, I want you to consider these questions. How do I respond to hardship or good fortune? When that happens, what do I do? Because it kind of tells you your responses. Remember I said that identity iceberg, your actions, behaviors, and decisions are as a result of what's below that waterline. So when you think about your actions and behaviors to hardship or in good fortune, think about what's behind those. Another thing to look at is, who are my closest friends? What are their beliefs? If you're hanging around with them, it means that you probably are sharing some of those because you continue to do so. And then how do I treat others around me? You notice we have things like, punctuality, respect, kindness, love, maturity, discipline, diligence, whatever those were. How do I treat others around me? So I want you to look at those. This is a time of introspection, folks. Now, again, my mentor, Darren, said this, and I really like it. And you heard me spoke about it. And he said, decide who you are and where you're growing to be and put your full energy behind it. It is this time now, folks, where we have to decide, who am I now? Look at it, spend some time with yourself. And where am I growing to be? Where do I want to be? Who am I becoming? Because it is your values that will guide you and your decision making to get there. And then put your full energy behind it. And when it comes to applying your values to your life, making value-based choices are not always going to be easy. However, when you're making that choice and you know it is right, it is a lot less difficult in the long run. I chose this topic because one of the things that I recognize, and you heard me say that the 6 keys to a winning team is strong leadership. And we need leadership that is values-based. And it therefore requires, I recently started a community called We Build on Facebook. It's a group, and I'm going to send the link out to all of you if you haven't joined it yet. And it's called We Build Successful Businesses. This is the next step that I took about the impact and significance and contributing to this nation, because I believe one person can make a difference. I'm imploring to you as leaders, your one person can make a difference. I know Rita's made a significant difference in her parish, in her community. She made the decision to make Jamaica her home. And through teaching first, launching the business, just even through COVID, her first shipment a month, what she's doing for the nation, and she just keeps going. There is no stopping her because it is based on her values. Who are we growing to be? And put your full energy behind it. Recognize, folks, that as leaders, we impact our community. So in this community where we are leaders and we're saying we build successful businesses, that community, that group that we have formed, we are saying that the mission of that group is to build successful businesses, here are the values, so we can live abundantly in a prosperous Jamaica. We all want to build successful businesses. If that resonates with you and aligns with your values, then join this group, because we have so much to do. It is strong leadership. It is leadership. We can't just depend on the government. It has to be us as leaders of our companies and our businesses, and how we're impacting our teams and our communities. We shift one person at a time, one business at a time. We can't just say, okay, the government, we have to play our part. And I see so many of you who are making such a big impact in your communities, in your companies. You're transforming yourself and you're transforming your people's lives. And what makes a business great is the culture. And the culture comes back to the values. And the values comes back to the values of the owner, you, and what it is that you are saying is what you're building along with your team, and creating a culture where everybody is aligned around that common goal and going in the same direction. But it starts first with you defining that, because I'm going to tell you something. You may put up these very nice core values on the wall, but if we don't live them, and living them starts first with you as the leader, then it's not going to help. So strong leadership is why I am doing this session today. And that leadership comes down to values. It will guide your decisions, and it will help you to make choices. You're not flopping all over the place. No, this is who we are. This is what we do. Like Darren did. No, this is who I am. I will not make such a decision. So use your values then for your goal setting. So when creating goals, it's important to consider the big picture, but consider your current goals that you're working towards. Look at any goals that you have set and determine if they align with your newly identified values. So once you have done the values exercise, then go back and look at whatever goals you have set and ask yourself, do they align with my new identified values, now that I took the time to write these down. For example, again, mine is impact, significance, serving others. Every time I keep going and asking myself in anything that I take on, does this align with those words? And so even starting this community is because the vision of Action Coach is world abundance through business re-education. And I signed on to that. And so Jamaica abundance through business re-education. And I signed on to that with the Action Coach Jamaica franchise. And then in starting this community, it's a furthering that, living abundantly, building successful businesses so that we can live abundantly in a prosperous Jamaica. It is the impact we will make on Jamaica. But I want leaders who are values-based, who have thought about that and are making decisions. So check your goals against your newly identified values, and then ask yourself, am I living according to my values in my life as a whole? Having set these up now, ask yourself, we may not be. It's a choice we make every day. Does your career choice reflect your values? You know, when I switched from city, it was because I went to a leadership session in Florida with a man, a coach called Fred Kaufman. And he asked us to sit on the floor and pretend we're at a funeral. And then he said, pretend that you're at a funeral and someone is at the lectern giving the remembrance, and the person in the coffin is you. And he said, write down what they'll be saying about you. And when I wrote down what they'll be saying about me, I said, but what is this? But then he said the most empowering words after that. And he said, you can tear up that paper and you can write a new set of words. That's when he gave me the concept of the dash. And that night, I walked that golf course and made the decision that I was shifting my life. I wanted to have an impact. I wanted to make a difference in my country. Doing it with Citibank was not the way to do it. And I came back, made a decision, and within a year, I left Citi the same day Bruce James and I left him for MVP and me to start my own business. And this path has continued. It's about impact, significance, and helping and leaving a life, fulfilling my purpose and leaving a life of legacy. The legacy I will leave behind is the legacy I leave behind in each and every single leader. And I'm doing it my way. One lead at a time, one person at a time. Those are my values. What are yours? How about your activities outside of work, church, community, giving? What are you doing? And are you spending your time on things that matter to you? We get one life to live in, and every day a piece of it passes. Every day a little bit of our life is going. This world is shifting so much. Our young people need so much guidance. Leaders need to step up to the plate. So by ensuring your values can be used to answer the questions I just posed, you will achieve your goals that are more fulfilling and meaningful because they align with your values. So do that test. Having determined what your values are, go back now and look at your goals. Whatever goals you wrote down, and ask yourself, do these align? Because if they don't, you're not going to pursue them wholeheartedly. You have to believe in them and be consistent. And then make decisions according to your values. Long-term goals will help you to get where you want to be in life. We always set long-term goals, but living your values is about the small day-to-day decisions you make. Every day you pick up the phone, you walk through that door. One of my other mentors, Marcia Goldsmith, says every day we walk through the door as a leader, it's showtime. It's showtime. Or people see us. Are we living your values in the day-to-day choices we make? How we answer the phone when we're walking? Do we tell people hello? Do we greet them? Do we see them? Do we recognize them? And do we have the difficult discussions when we need to? Because just like parents, you have to have the difficult discussions to help people to grow. We have to be willing to say what needs to be said. Too many times in this country, I have seen it. Leaders who know their team members are not performing and will not have the difficult discussions. It is more important in terms of your integrity to let somebody know where they're not performing so they can improve, rather than leaving them there in this land of ignorance, and then they cannot grow. That's not your role as a leader. So in the moment, do you react to situation in ways that aligns with your values, relating with your people day to day? Caring, patience, accountability, all of those things that I spoke about. Your values allow you to make decisions in the day-to-day. Long-term, yes, will help you to where you want to be in life, setting long-term goals. But it is living your values is about the day-to-day small decisions that you will make. So I understand that life is not always easy. We're wrapping up now. It's not always easy to make your actions align with your values. If it was, we would all be doing it, but it isn't. So here are some techniques to help you to change your reactions and to live more consciously in accordance with them. Write these down. 1, make a habit of reading your list of values every morning. So for those of you who walk into companies, you will see these core values on the wall. And actually, you know, they're on the wall and nobody even see them anymore. No. What you want to do for yourself is you have a whiteboard over here now, and it has on here, I am present, be where I am. I'm strong in God's grace, courageous in the pursuit of my purpose, fulfilling my purpose, creating my legacy, living abundantly in a more prosperous and harmonious Jamaica. You're on this board. I see it every morning and I look at it. So make a habit of reading your list of values. We're in a storm every morning when you wake up. Why? It's a reminder. And then the other thing is visualize the day ahead. You know, we don't even take time to do that. We just jump out to the bed and we start going. But visualize the day ahead and plan out how you will live by your values throughout the day. So we have this worksheet that I gave out to everybody, to my clients. It's called the Action Diary. And it starts off with who I am. And then it talks about how you plan to achieve it. What are your values? And what are the things that you're going to do today to live out those values? Then print out your values and keep them close to you. As I say, I have mine right here beside my desk on this whiteboard. I wrote them in my hand, writing, not even printed. Then I also have them in my notes in my phone. You can also make them the background on your phone or your computer. Take a picture of them and make it your background. I also have set up as reminders in my calendar that at 5 a.m., at noon, and at 5 p.m., there are a set of values that pop up, that come up as a reminder for me, so that in the morning I remember these are my values. Because remember, your values are lived out in the small day-to-day decisions that we make. You need reminders. It comes up again at noon, it comes across the screen, it comes on my phone, it comes up as an alarm reminder. And then in the evening again. So set up reminders to pop up on your phone. And whenever you find yourself straying from your values, always analyze the situation afterward and ask yourself, are we going to fall in, guys? We're going to do things that didn't align. But the worst thing to do is just ignore it. Is to say, okay, I didn't abide by the values. Analyze the situation and ask yourself, what stopped me? What could I have done differently so that the next time I follow through on these values? All right, so is anybody up for sharing a value today, just even out of today, that they would like to share? So just type it into the screen, any of the values that they have identified, or if you want to actually I'm going to unmute everyone. So I'm going to allow you to unmute yourself. Right. So is anybody based on today have a value that they wanted to share, that they identified today, coming out to today, or a couple of them that they wanted to share? Hands up. Anybody who wanted to share a value? Or you can just unmute yourself. I shared a number of them. Anybody has a value that they wanted to share? Okay, I see a hand. Okay, let me find out whose hand that is. Where is this hand? Judith. You can unmute, Judith. Where is Judith? Judith. Judith, you can unmute. Judith? Judith, we're seeing you, but we're not hearing you.
Yes, Marcia.
Okay, go ahead.
Good morning, Coach Marcia.
Good morning.
One of my values. I did. I unmute.
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes, you know, I'm unmuted.
Yes, go ahead. We're hearing you now.
It's not. It's a.
Yeah, we can hear you, Judith.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No, I was saying mine is commitment. One of my value is committed. So it might be going in and out. So I'm saying committed because like this moment was when I went abroad to family.
I think the internet with all this rain, Judith is having a problem. I think we've even lost Judith now. Yes. All right, Anthony.
I'll try one more time.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. All right. So I said, when I traveled abroad to study, and my family weren't very nice to me, and I remember I looked in the mirror and I said, others have done it, why can't I? And I took 3 years to end up with a triple major coming out of college. I was so ecstatic at the day of my graduation. So it just shows, if you're not good enough to sleep in their beds, they would supposed to drop you somewhere. They don't do it, and they would come in last minute, and it was horrible. And when you make such achievement about my own apartment within a year, and while going to school, and committed myself to finish, and I said it's 4 years to do my degree, but I did it in 3 years, and I didn't do one. I graduated with a.
So I hear commitment, I hear determination as well inside there. Excellent, Judith. All right, Anthony, I'm going to ask you to unmute. Anthony Graham.
Hi, Marcia. Good morning.
Hi.
Good morning to your team today. An awesome presentation. The moment you spoke of values, the big one for me in everything I do is quality. And quality. It is important that everything I do has an element of quality to its highest point. Without quality, you really do not get to understand even what you are doing, because if you can only have quality by comparison, and you can only have comparison by seeing it done other places in order to know if what you are doing is authenticated. So with that, authenticity is very important for me, to the point where this might offend quite a few of your audience, but it's not intentional. The social media is a big thing, and I get a good morning, from many, many friends and even customers daily on something. But most of those good mornings are these nice little icon that says shiny day with a cup of tea forwarded. I rarely, if ever, forward any of those things. If I'm telling you good morning, I just type good morning, Marcia, and probably put a little flowers at the end. To me, that is authentic, other than just forwarding something that you read from someone else, and it just have this big forward on there. I don't respond very well to it, and I'm sure all my friends, when they send me these things, they realize that what comes back to them is probably same to you or a text, but not one of those forwarded messages, pre-made messages.
So this is your personal values, absolutely.
Yes, quality and authentic, being authentic.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you very much, Anthony. I have also Kimon.
Good morning. Are you hearing me clearly?
Yes, we're hearing you.
Good morning. Thank you so much. And good morning to everybody who's on the panel and in the audience. So I knew mines before, but I just went with okay. I just went with a blank slate because I want to learn more about it. So for I have three major ones, not just for myself, but also for my brands. And the three of them are discipline, passion, and optimism. Discipline because, so first of all, going and with the rain and everything, it's going in and out. So if I'm gone, so discipline because I'm a person that loves motivational videos and everything, but you can't survive off motivation alone. I know that for sure. So a person has to be disciplined in not just business, but also personal life and also passion. I'm a passionate person and I strive for passion and purpose. And a person, everybody has passions and your passion leads to your purpose. That's what I believe, that everybody has a divine purpose in life. So your passion, you have to have passion for what you do. If you don't have passion, if you're even working at a front desk at an office, you have to be passionate about serving the clients, right? You have to be passionate. And then we have optimism. Optimism because I believe that I am the designer of my destiny. That is a line on our brand, which is called I am the designer of my destiny, meaning that I am the person who decides who I want to be. I'm the person who decides what my future would be like, and I am me. You understand? So those are the three major ones. The rest of them minor, they're just important, but I believe these are the most important core values that every person should have, and also for myself and in business.
Absolutely. I remember what you just said, Kimon, for yourself. So remember, your values are your values, whether so if it's your personal, it's also in the way you do everything.
Exactly, because you're in business.
So you can't be separate one way and another way. It's who you are. It will show it eventually in everything. Absolutely, in everything. Amen. Awesome with that one. All right.
Thank you so much.
So thank you so much, Kimon, for sharing. I didn't see any more hands up, and I know we're on the hour now. We're past the hour. So in terms of now, so this was just the sharing, and so what I'm going to do now is well, we kind of did it as a question. So what I'm going to do is the resources that I'm going to share with you will be these two documents, as I said before. So everyone who was on today, you will receive from Kimberly a listing of the why values. So as people were talking, I just started to highlight some of the values that we have there that they were talking about. So I want you to go through and think about yours, and then come up with your top 10, as we said. And then I want everybody to do this exercise. And this exercise here is where I love this first one. Who would I want to ultimately become in my lifetime? And what do I want my life to be about? So we start to get clarity your highest emotions and values, your top 10, your list, and ask yourself, going through them. So I want you to do this exercise for yourself. It's just how many pages? It is just 9. And then you're going to set some rules for yourself. So for example, if I value health, then the rules example, I experience health anytime I exercise, eat whole or natural foods, or treat my body as my lifelong temple. So once you decide what your value is, then there are some rules. If it's integrity, then what will I do? If it is purpose, if it is determination, what are my rules? So work through this document, spend some time. Maybe it's raining today and you won't be able to go out, whatever it is. Just set some time aside and go through these 2 documents, the values list and this exercise. Do it for yourself if you haven't done it before, for the first time. And I look forward to all of you guys having done that, then starting to live a life on purpose and being guided by your core values. And so I just want to thank you. I know right now the rain is getting worse, so thank you all for joining me. I'm grateful for this opportunity to help each of you to live a life and to run your business in accordance with your personal values. So if you have any more questions, you can email us and we will respond to them. Or when Kimberly sends you the documents, if you have any other questions or you want to have a further consultation with us, let us know. So guys, my parting is always this: keep safe and healthy. Please, we have so much happening around us. We have the storm and we still are under an earthquake watch. So please, folks, just be careful. Talk to your people about ensuring that they're taking the necessary steps. I was sharing with Kimberly that I have a little earthquake kit, which is something that I recommend everybody have, which is it's a knapsack, and it has certain essentials that are in there for both earthquake and hurricane. This is the season we're in. As leaders, take leadership in that direction and guide your team through this time as well. All right, so stay safe and healthy, folks, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Marcia.
You are welcome, Rita. Wonderful to see you.
I'm just contemplating whether I should drive into Kingston or not, because it's pouring rain.
No, Rita, please to stay put, because they expect 3 to 5 inches of rain. You know, yes, the kind of water. So Rita, just stay put.
I think I will do that. Thank you so much.
Stay put.
I need
you are more than welcome.
Reevaluate myself. Thank you. Bye-bye now. I'm leaving.
And by the way, you can share this, guys, with your team too. So you know, you can do this exercise with them, have them individually do it as well. I think it's important for us all. All right. Okay. Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.